Some word associations make you cringe, like mosquito and sleep, pineapple pizza, or red wine with ice cubes. And then there's this one, Alpine and sport utility vehicle. And yet, we're going to have to get used to it, because Tuesday, May 27th, 2025 is a day to remember. The Alpine brand, our only active French mainstream sports brand, has unveiled a model that we were both waiting for and dreading at the same time. The new Alpine, A390. So, if you follow automotive news, you couldn't have missed it. It's a sport utility vehicle, an electric sport utility vehicle. In short, an object that on paper seems about as compatible with Alpine's DNA as a camper van on the Le Mans 24 Hours track. In the comments under the model's presentation videos, fans express chaos, shame, betrayal, and even view it as an absolute sacrilege. Alpine is about ascension, lightness, pure driving pleasure, and definitely not a city sport utility vehicle. Some people still think it's cool, but I'll spare you the details. The online debates were as calm as PSG fans on a championship night. However, it's noteworthy that a new Alpine model release is always a significant event. The A110, a small city car based on the R5, is over 8 years old. Despite its recent launch, the brand doesn't often release new models, and every new release matters. So whether you like it or not, at least we can be glad about one thing: Alpine is very much alive, and in the current context, that's no small thing. I recently made a video covering Alpine's history and strategy, particularly focusing on the release of the 290. Today, I wanted to discover for myself the truth behind the mixed opinions surrounding this first sport utility vehicle. On one hand, I feel like this is the car that fans were dreading, but on the other hand, it's kind of a body style that the brand couldn't avoid. Today, we'll thoroughly analyze all of this together. I took out my palette and my pencil to answer just one question: is this new Alpine 390 really a failure? Truthfully, Alpine's announcement of its electric sport utility vehicle launch has purists crying sacrilege. And yet, the brand has been preparing us to see this format coming for a long time. Since 2020, a concept based on the A110, the A110 Sport X, was intended to showcase a high-riding Alpine design. I find this concept quite stylish. It could have easily existed in the lineup just like Porsche. The new A390 takes a slightly different approach compared to the extreme Huracan Sterato or the 911 Dakar. The Alpine design team emphasized that the A110 was not a neo-retro car but a missing link to revive the brand. By answering the question, what would the A110 look like if it had never stopped? This new sport utility vehicle in the lineup is instead aiming to do the opposite by going far enough into the future to offer something more modern, while respecting the brand's codes and, above all, by applying for the first time to a production car the new design identity introduced by the stunning Alpenglow concept car. However, beyond the usual adjectives, we always hear about the brand: lightweight, iconic, fun to drive cars. For me, on the Alpine 390, I find the three keys to the overall Alpine spirit. First, the mountain, which echoes the name. The Alpine A290 beta concept's symbolic universe strongly influenced the production car. Next, competition, a core part of the brand's DNA, symbolized by its compact dynamic silhouette even in this format. The pointed front end and other elements we'll discuss later are also key features. The third key identifier is the French know-how that Alpine aims to showcase through subtle touches on the car. In pure design, this is done to reassure the brand's customers and fans. You can find the very recognizable codes of the A110 in a reinterpreted way, namely the faceback silhouette. Looking at the Y0 line and roofline, it resembles an A110 with its sloping rear. Then there's the sculpting of the side panel, the whole side part including the doors, which are very sculpted. The two additional lights of the balloonette, the front fog lights, are stylized in a new, more geometric design previewed on the Alpenglow. So, to decipher the design, we have to start with the proportions and the overall silhouette. You might think that a sport utility vehicle isn't Alpine and it's lame, regardless of anything else. And if I had to defend this shape before talking to you about the obvious marketing strategy reasons, I would say that, sure, we have a car that's high off the ground and sport utility vehicle. You have to admit, they tried not to make it look like a shopping cart. The car is well grounded and planted on its wheels, expressing a strong sense of dynamism, not just resembling a simple milk carton. The car's slim cabin makes it appear less tall than it is. In terms of proportions, it makes up a little more than a third of the total height, and it's well stretched, with a hood that's still quite prominent. A fairly sloped A-pillar and black door pillars that don't stop the eye from following the entire length of the body. The pronounced two-level lip wheel arches serve as a visual reminder of the A110's sportiness and agility, despite its weight of over 2 tons. The A390 is slightly smaller than a Macan and closer in size to a Kia electric vehicle 6. Although the brand's images make it seem less bulky, in my opinion, the wheels are very large, likely 22 inches. With their snowflake design, it's a nod to the mountain side, allowing the car to sit properly. Because honestly, if it had 16 or even 18-inch wheels, it wouldn't have the same visual impact at all. The side view reveals the effort made to enliven the car's exterior. With a graphic design reflecting the red Les Rouges line seen on the A110, it's now a design code for them. The brand will have to liven up every model's side. It adds action and visual interest, but I find it somewhat complex. I would have preferred to see a cleaner version, kind of like what I saw in this sketch, one of the first from the project. I believe going into production was too extreme. Despite the provided brand images and artificial lighting, the result still appears somewhat forced. The curve at this level is reminiscent of the swoosh from the Ascendix. We have to have a big shadowed mass underneath, which drops toward the back, then another inward mass to bring out the rocker that brings light onto the lower body. Ultimately, it creates significant movement on this side panel. I do tend to associate Alpine with purity. In this case, I believe it complicates the already busy design, particularly on the front end. Though it should evoke the Alpine spirit the most, it still poses a challenge. Regarding these stylized lights, we would have preferred seeing a version with the classic round lights. They likely tested it, but decided against it. To showcase modernity, they intentionally reinterpreted this code, though not necessarily through design. And so it gives us a really sharp look. With the more traditional headlights hidden lower in the bumper, let's talk about it. Because for me, it's maybe the most fragile part of the car, with this rather fine weaving. However, we would have preferred something more durable that can withstand the elements and off-road conditions. It seems like it might break easily when hitting the first bit of gravel on the highway. The large horizontal line at the top part of the front emphasizes the width, and this styling effect taken from Alpenglow and the concept we call cosmic dust to bring in that little snowy touch. Sophistication, precious French style details, you can really see that the look is elongated. A V-shaped volume up to the wheel arch utilizes the entire available width. And for the dynamic look, you have to notice this hood, not only ribbed but especially highly sculpted, with the two appendages that form an aero bridge. So it's a way for the air to pass through, which is quite beneficial in terms of drag coefficient, and besides, it really gives a nice sporty look. However, a camera is placed in the center, which was necessary for capturing the 360-degree interior view. I wonder if there's a better way to integrate it, as currently it seems like a shame. The button is located in the center of the front face, on the rear part of the other side of the car. The most notable feature is the concave window extending from the rear to the side of the cabin, just like on the Berlinette. With a C-pillar stopped by the little French flag, which gives this floating roof effect, I think that's a strong element from them, and they're almost the only ones doing it right now. So I think it's great that they kept it. Then, we have a fairly classic rear, at least more classic than the rest of the car, since we already have a horizontal taillight line that helps to widen and ground the body. But we're seeing it increasingly with all brands. This line features the X-shaped light signature enhanced with a small graphic detail reflecting the spirit of cosmic dust, as seen on various concept cars. We'll see how it ages. It may not last well over time, and will likely change 3 to 4 years for the facelift in my opinion. Still with the intention of having this reminder of the cosmic dust. There's some work done on the bumper just below the light line, but it's really just bodywork. Integrating lighting into this surface would have been too costly. However, the vertical protrusion at the bottom of the bumper on each side works well. This feature, also found on other Renault models, helps shape the car and widen the rear while providing aerodynamic benefits. Other than that, the rest is pretty standard. The small illuminated Alpine badge is nice. The U-shape is also available on the A110 and A290. Creating a familial connection between disparate models is a significant challenge for the brand, but it's another approach to foster that spirit. And then, we have a set of horizontal lines that sculpt the entire rear, all the way to the rear bumper in glossy black, which simulates a higher ride height. Fortunately, the color choice was effective. However, the interior leaves the most to be desired. And I think that will be the case for a lot of people. Around the steering wheel, which is nice, but we've already seen it on the A290, we have a typical Renault layout with the L-shaped screens. It's exactly what you find on the latest Renaults that are already on the road. It's a display and navigation system that's beginning to show its age. So for my part, I think that's a shame, especially for a brand that wants to be premium and eventually compete with Porsche. That may be where salespeople need to be persuasive with customers. However, I'm seeking a positive perspective on it. I reassure myself that the next Alpine model will definitely feature a dedicated interior, not just integrated Renault components. Adding that feature is one of the final steps to distinguish themselves and provide an end-to-end solution. I anticipate and hope it'll be included in the next release. According to official press releases, the brand's representatives promise the sport utility vehicle will offer driving pleasure similar to the A110 with agility and precise handling, despite its rather heavy size. You know, I'm not a test driver, I talk about design so I'll have to see for myself, but in principle the fact of having 3 electric motors, 1 front, 2 rear, produce 470 horsepower and over 800 Nm of torque. That improves cornering agility and masks the vehicle's weight to an extent. Test it out if you're interested. Despite being electric, the car's sport utility vehicle body style has been a major source of criticism since its debut. Even if it's not your preferred type of vehicle, you have to admit it's a brave sport utility vehicle, so to speak. It has a distinctive style that some will love and others will hate. To me, that's crucial. It has personality and character. Being divisive prevents you from making a bland product that nobody cares about. I'm curious to hear your opinion in the comments to know if you like it, if you hate it, or if you're just indifferent. For me to form an opinion about a new car on the market, I usually need to do research. I also ask myself, if I see one every day, am I happy or am I disgusted? Here, when I see this A390, I think I would be happy. Because in the end, in today's market, the A390 manages to bring Alpine design codes to an electric sport utility vehicle. Evolve the brand's stylistic identity to open a door to the future, not just by sticking to what's already there. While we may have the right to oppose this new model, it's a necessary evolution to ensure Alpine's survival in an increasingly complex market. Apparently, in the tests and discovery sessions that were done with customers who already own an A110, the feedback was quite good. But in any case, Alpine had no choice. As counterintuitive as it may be to release an electric sport utility vehicle, Alpine didn't just want to provoke the purists. It's strategic, economical and vital. Alpine has primarily been known for the A110 model. In 2024, Alpine's sales totaled just over 4,000 vehicles. It's a relative success, but globally, it's insignificant. 80% of its sales are concentrated in Europe, primarily in France, Germany and the United Kingdom. Our brand relies on a single model with a limited market. Without volume, there's no cash flow, margin, research, innovation, future, or palace. To escape this predicament and prevent another demise, Alpine was relaunched with much fanfare, proclaiming a new objective. 7 models in 7 years, 2 SUVs, a city car, a coupe, an A110 convertible version. That's the target. 150,000 vehicles sold by the year 2030. It's impossible to finance that with the A110 alone, and the little A290 won't really change the game either. Imagine the money needed to create new models, open markets, develop platforms, and produce cars. Cash is made with a global electric sport utility vehicle selling tens of thousands, not a coupe selling just a few thousand. Sacrificing a small part of the DNA may be necessary to ensure the brand's survival, especially since 70% of current customers are in France and only 30% elsewhere. But Alpine wants to make it big everywhere, especially in North America, in Asia. To inspire dreams, a sporty sport utility vehicle with a recognizable badge and racing image is ideal. Your Berlinette may be a dream car, but it's not viable for mass sales in Beijing or Los Angeles. This strategy is carefully planned. The biggest brands have already taken this path. The famous example is Porsche, which shocked purists with the Cayenne in 2002. As a result, the Cayenne became their bestseller. A vehicle that funds all the research and development for the sports models and allows investment in ranges like the 911 or the 718. The Urus, shocking to purists, now makes up a third of Lamborghini's sales. It enables the production of the Rivolto and Huracan models. At Aston Martin, it's the same with the DBX, which funded the development of the new Vanquish with a V12 engine. While SUVs may initially face unpopularity, they can succeed if they consistently respect the brand's identity. They end up being accepted, respected, even loved by purists, because they are seen as a link between prestige and profitability. With this new addition, the brand must not make a mistake. So the challenge is to offer a car that has that Alpine spirit and will attract a new clientele, in enough volume to fund the next Berlinette. Upcoming models such as the convertible and 4-seater coupe will carry on the spirit of the Alpine A310. To satisfy both purists and the general public, they may adopt a two-pronged strategy. On one side, the family range, with the city car, this A390, and why not another sporty sport utility vehicle for the volumes, for the global markets, and for the cash. On the flip side, a passion line with the new-gen A110 Roadster and limited editions to preserve the brand's spirit. The emotional connection with the fans and the image. Alpine would convey this through honest communication, clearly explaining that the sport utility vehicle is a tool for growth without trying to force fans to believe in it. But the essence of the brand and its soul remain the small, thrilling Berlinettes, and to nurture this aura, Alpine is placed in Formula 1. Alarac continued offering special editions regularly, as they already do, by drawing from the brand's history. Paul Ricard, Circuit Alpine Le Mans F1 Edition. Numerous exclusive variations excite fans, energize the community, and support premium positioning. Curious customers starting with the brand can choose the sport utility vehicle, while enthusiasts stay loyal to iconic models. The A390 sport utility vehicle was intentionally designed not just to appease YouTube critics. It's a lever to exist, to grow internationally, and to generate profits. But if this vehicle is a tool and if the soul remains preserved, the plan can work. I hope Alpine will offer us a sport utility vehicle to exist, but real sports cars to make us dream. I hope you enjoyed this in-depth design analysis format. Tell me in the comments what you think about the car and Alpine's strategy.